In the heart of southern India, where the Ural River winds like a ribbon through emerald forests, there lives a family of elephants bound by a devotion deeper than any riverbed. These gentle giants, with their ponderous steps and knowing eyes, move together as if connected by an unbreakable thread of loyalty and love. Though all elephant species now teeter on the brink of extinction, this herd remains a testament to nature's resilience, roaming freely through the shade-dappled woods, revered by nearby villagers. Their code is simple yet profound. Never, under any circumstance, leave a family member behind. One sunlit morning, the herd assembled at the river's edge, the sleek brown water reflecting their massive silhouettes. Among them was the herd's newest member, a baby barely 1/6 the size of its towering elders, taking its very first river cross. The forest hushed in expectation as the procession set off, trunks swinging in unison, ears flared like sails. But for the youngster, untested in the art of fording rivers, the current proved treacherous. Midway through the crossing, its tiny legs lost purchase on the slick stones, and with a startled trumpet, the calf tumbled into a concealed mud pit between bank and stream. The pit was a viscous trap, wall slick with wet earth, water seeping in to cradle the baby in a suffocating embrace. Each frantic kick only buried it deeper, every breath more precious than the last. The calf's flailing stirred the mud, transforming the pit into a swirling quagmire. Above, the herd froze, horror rippling through their ranks. Their massive bodies barred entry. Their strength was their curse, their tender hearts powerless to pluck the calf from the mire. Panic swept the bank. The baby's plaintive cries, half-trumpeted alarm, half-human-like sob, sliced through the still air, rattling the forest. Mothers and matriarchs trumpeted back, a chorus of urgency echoing like distant thunder. They formed a tight circle, trunks entwined in a gesture of solidarity, lamenting their helplessness. As hours crept by, the calf's struggles grew ragged. Exhaustion clouded its wide eyes. Hope wavered on the brink of disappearance. Still, the herd would not relent. Their distress calls crescendoed, each trumpet an appeal to unseen ears, perhaps a human ally who could succeed where they had failed. The earth vibrated with their voices, carrying the message beyond the forest's edge. In a nearby village, peasants paused mid-task as that mournful chorus drifted through open windows. At first they dismissed it as a distant squabble of wild beasts, but as the cries grew more desperate, piercing, urgent, they realized this was no ordinary forest song, a cry for help. Drawn by compassion and curiosity, a small band of villagers gathered torches and waded into the undergrowth, guided by the echoing trumpets. They emerged onto the riverbank to witness a sight both sorrowful and stirring. A circle of solemn elephants, their heads bowed, eyes locked on a sinking form at the water's edge. The villagers stared, hearts pounding. Yet the calf writhed still, its tiny trunk flailing above the sludge. No matter how they heaved, the humans could not lift it free. Recognizing their limits, they raced back to summon wildlife conservationists and forest officers, their voices urgent as the wind. Night fell over the river, wrapping the scene in a velvet cloak of stars. The baby elephant, now too weary to cry, lay almost still, its dreams likely filled with murky water and frantic kicks. Around it the herd never stirred. They stood sentinel through the dark, their silhouettes etched against the moonlit water, guardians in eternal vigil. The villagers, only a handful who remained, took turns offering sips of water and murmuring soft comforts, their small flashlights flickering over anxious elephant faces. By dawn's first light, the distant growl of heavy machinery rolled like a promise. An excavator massive as a titan rumbled down the forest track, its steel bucket shimmering. The villagers' cheers blended with the herd's hopeful trumpets, a symphony of expectation. Yet even as the machine arrived, uncertainty shadowed every heart. Could its raw power be harnessed gently enough not to harm the delicate calf? With painstaking care, the conservationists cleared a workspace, gently urging the herd back. Elephants, surprisingly calm, stood aside as humans formed a chain to shift loose stones and roots. The excavator operator, muscles taut, began carving away at the mud, each scoop measured to avoid injury. Beneath him the calf stirred, senses sharpened by hope. But machinery, like life, is fallible. After hours of steady progress, the engine coughed and died, plunging the riverbank into heavy silence, broken only by the herd's nervous rumblings. Panic flickered in human eyes, until a local mechanic, summoned by villagers, knelt beside the sputtering engine. Under the mounting trumpets and with a village's collective breath held, he coaxed the machine back to life. Joyous cheers rose as metal roared once more and digging recommenced. Villagers and officers scooped with shovels, hands turned to trowels, loosening the mud around the calf's flanks. Others proffered water gourds and whispered encouragements, creating a human safety net of care. Night dissolved into day in a blur of sweat and shovelfuls. Finally, a trench sloped gently upward from the pit's depths to solid ground. It gleamed under the hot sun, a ramp of salvation. One by one, villagers formed a line, bracing to guide the calf's trembling body. Then, with lungs burning and heart pounding, the baby dug its heels in and heaved upward. Time slowed as the calf's small form ascended the muddy ramp. Its trunk flailed like a desperate lifeline. When its front legs finally cleared the brink, it slid back momentarily with a hollow thud, only to summon one last burst of strength and surge free. Gasps rose as the baby elephant collapsed onto firmer earth, chest heaving, eyes bright with relief. A triumphant trumpet burst from its tiny lips, answered by a deafening roar of joy from the herd. The calf scrambled to its feet and bolted toward its mother, tusks meeting in a tender embrace that shook the bank with emotion. The herd's morning calls transformed into exuberant fanfare, echoing across river and forest. Then something miraculous happened. The adult elephants, heads held high, turned toward the humans. They raised their trunks in salute, trumpeting not fear or sorrow but gratitude. The sound was electric, a final salute to compassion bridging two species. Tears streamed down villagers' faces as they realized they had witnessed a communion of hearts seldom seen in the wild. As the herd reassembled, the villagers and conservationists watched in awed silence. No one stirred to leave. No one dared break the spell. When at last the elephants filed back into the forest, baby nestled safely between guardians, the humans exhaled in unison, their spirits forever marked by what they had witnessed. In the days that followed, the herd approached the riverbank more warily. The calf, wiser now, kept close to its parents, sheltered between giants whose watchful eyes never wavered. Villagers returned in respectful distance, lured by the promise of witnessing nature's grand drama, yet careful not to intrude. That 2-day odyssey of mud and fear, machines and mercy left an indelible mark on all who took part. For humans and elephants alike, it was proof that empathy can span the chasm between species, and that, on the banks of the Uelanthani River, the bonds of family and community can conquer even the stickiest of traps. What other marvels lay waiting in the wild, if only we choose to listen? But the story did not end with that farewell salute. In the weeks that followed, the villagers and rescuers found themselves watching the riverbank with eager anticipation each dawn. They carried steaming cups of chi to the clearing, their breaths misting in the cool morning air as they scanned the forest edge for flickers of grey. Sometimes they spotted the herd at a distance, majestic silhouettes wading into the water, baby tucked securely between its mother's forelegs, its trunk barely reaching above the river's surface. Each sighting felt like a quiet celebration of survival, a private show in nature's grand amphitheatre. Meanwhile, the conservation team set up a makeshift observation post, charting the herd's movements and health. They noted how the adults adjusted their crossing patterns, allowing the calf to test shallower fords before braving the deeper currents. The mechanics who had rescued the excavator even fashioned a sturdy platform of logs and ropes, a contingency in case another narrow pit claimed an unwary foot. And the villagers. They organized monthly gatherings by lantern light, sharing tales of the rescue and planning riverbank cleanups to prevent hidden traps. Through shared vigilance, an unspoken covenant arose, human and elephant, bound by mutual respect and memory. Each time the herd trumpeted from the water's edge, the villagers would answer back in quiet applause, their hearts echoing the wild trumpets with gratitude. And as dawn stretched its fingers across the Uelanthani once more, everyone wondered what other wonders would unfold when compassion learns to speak nature's language.